thank the family for sharing her with me. Amen. Amen.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just wanted to get up here because that has always been like blood couldn't make us all no closer. Nana is my Nana too. Sorry, y'all.
Yep.
Nana been knowing me since I was a baby, literally. And some of my fondest memories with her was when I was like right in the cusp of like thinking I'm grown, but not really. And she so very sweetly and kindly would always remind me of that. I remember when my husband at the time gave me my first hickey on her porch.
Ooh.
And she called it out very sweetly and told her daughter, you need to go see what's going on. But I'm saying all of this to say, like, the authority that she always gave was always so sweet and kind and in love and encouraging. She never made you feel bad, even if you was doing something bad. And she has touched many people's lives. And I'm honored to even know her, to have a relationship with her. I've had one with her, and I don't care if I didn't see her for a week or for a year. She would still greet me the same exact way with the biggest smile and the biggest hug. As small as she was, her personality and her love and the mark in her legacy is way bigger. And y'all know I love y'all. And once the dust settles, everybody's always like, oh, I'm here for you if you need anything. But all y'all know, I wholeheartedly mean that. If you need anything, Mika, y'all already know. Tiff, Nikki, y'all know. I love y'all with all my heart.
You say your butt right here.
We are bringing a portion
Black sheep and all
of the way we hope that we are giving everyone an opportunity that one hour of time to have words. This time, we'll continue to view for about 5 more minutes as we will be preparing ourselves. Come on, for the celebration of life. Daughters would like to have words. And tired, would you come right now? Close out this portion of the service.
Amen, church.
Amen.
Sister Tara, when she came to church, she came to worship.
Yes, she
She would
did.
say, I don't know what you came to do, but I came to praise his name. I came to lift him up. Sister Tara lived and breathed and ate church faith, and she was a woman of God from the beginning to the end. I tried to put together some words from my mother. I am a professional writer for a living, but I was unable to put pen to paper for my mom. So what I did was, I put together a few bullet points to try to highlight the 90 years of my mother's life. 10 short of a century. I am so blessed, even though I'm broken, because I loved my mother. And all of you in here, you know, if you knew Sister Tart, she was consistent.
Amen.
When you saw her, she remained the same, always lifting the name of the Lord. In any event, I said that I would start this the way that my mother, and in fact, let me remove my peppermint from my mouth. If you know Sister Tart, you knew she kept a mint in her purse. In any event, I wanted to start this off. I had come to view my mom And that was the biggest issue for me, just seeing her in this state. But she's going on to be with the Lord, y'all.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
And one of her favorite scriptures, someone said it as I was exiting the aisle there, and it says, "This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." Because my mother believed that in all things, give thanks. In death, in life, and whatever it may be, Sister Tart was about what was right. So this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. My mother, who I affectionately call Mommy, the duration of my life. My mother outlived 11 of her siblings, her husband, and her dear son, Bill. My mother grew up in rural Virginia on a farm in 1933. That was before we had civil rights, back when we were colored. And she really had a hard way to go as a young child. She used to make a statement that she said, "You know, growing up, Ange, there was a lot of times we ain't seen day." I said, "Well, Mom, what does that mean?" She said, "Well, ain't seen day means we got up, we picked cotton before school, then we went to school, we came home, we ate a little something, we headed back out to the fields, and when we went to bed, it was dark, like when we woke up in the morning, so we ain't seen day." That was a huge part of her childhood because there were no labor laws then. Children worked and went to school. And as well, my mom told me the story of when they would walk to school, they walked maybe 2 miles there and 2 miles back under the age of 6. And how terrifying that was because they were snatching children and taking them to be in the circus. And with the gypsies, she was so afraid that her mother, my grandma Ada, became one of the biggest advocates in her life to make certain that they had busing. And we're talking in the 30s and 40s in a rural, segregated South. So I come from a line of good blood, of leaders, of promoters. So I said all that to say that after that point in her life, my mom came to Buffalo. And this is where she met my dad, Brother Tart. She met my dad at a youth meeting at 480 Hickory Street. My dad was interested in my mom because of the stockings that she had. They were seams, black seams that go up the back, straight up the back of the legs. I said, "Daddy, well, what was it?" He said, "Well, your mom's short little legs and those black seams, they look like parentheses." And that was the beginning of that relationship. And they went on to have 4 children. I am the baby girl. I am Angela Williams. I was born November 1965. That was the year of civil rights. So now we're coming into a different era. At that particular time, when I was born, that's when everyone went the first or second week to Memphis. When I was born, my dad was in Memphis. Subsequently thereafter, he was there every year for my birthday. Sister Tart was here, and you know what she was doing? She was holding down New Hope. She was there to open the doors, to close the doors, and to be there for prayer. One of my first memories is of my mother in prayer, along with Elder Chillis. Prayer was my preschool, guys. I went to prayer every morning from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. with my mom. My first memories are being wrapped in one of those blankets. This is back when the church, when the women used to fall out because they were tearing, they would cover them with the covers. She would cover me in the cover, and they had pillows for prayer because they took prayer very seriously because prayer changes things. And my mother was a praying woman, and she prayed every morning, and prayer availeth much. And the prayer has been over my life my entire time. When you come from a praying mother, let me tell you, you can do anything through Christ that strengthens you. Let me move on here. I want to tell 2 stories that were very significant. My mom went through a lot with my brother Bill. God rest his soul. I loved my brother. We were very close. But when Bill was young, he was very sickly. And again, my mother comes from a praying background. From my understanding, Bill was in his snowsuit, stiff and blue. My mother considered that, oh, he was so nigh gone. But in my mind, stiff and blue is dead. Where I come from. She said he had not been eating. They took him to Elder Chillis and said, Elder Chillis said, let me pray with him one time. He had not been eating. There was an ongoing joke in the family many years later that my dad would say, when they pulled up to the hospital, Mom was on the 3rd floor, they could hear her screaming. That's the cry of a parent whose child is dying. Elder Chillis subsequently thereafter received the child into his arms. And if anyone that knows the words to this song, this is what my mother lived by. Elder Chillis sang very briefly, yes, yes, yes. Rev, I'm hungry. And he went on to live for 58 years. That's the faith she had. That's the story that I want to tell regarding my mother and her faith and her son that went on to live. As I begin to wrap things up, I want to tell you about my mother's amazing sense of style and grace. I had pictures printed out that I wanted to send around of my mother's favorite picture, my favorite picture of my mother. I wasn't able to get those on today. But my mother was a true fashionista. She was small in stature, but she stood tall on the word. And when I say tall, I mean tall, tall on the word. And I got the word, I have to close. And again, we can't tell it all for 90 years. My mother was an incredible woman. She was a woman of faith. She was a woman of dedication. She was the model pastor's member. She was a multitasker. She could pray, she could sing, she could clean the church, whatever capacity that the Lord saw for my mother, she would serve in. And she did it to the best of her ability. I had so many other things to say, but you guys know my mother. One thing I do want to say, her dinner table was her crown jewel. She fed many. She fed a multitude, and we always had a beautiful table with nice linen, crystal, silverware. Sister Tart did it big. And I want to say in my closing, and I'm going through many different things, she was a prayer warrior. She was a worshiper. And she shouted, she cut her step to the end. She would cut her step with Minister Jackson here, and she would say, I would have outshouted him if I didn't have on my heels. My mother gave the best of her service. And I'm so glad that that glad morning came where she can go on home to be with the Lord. The last song that my mom and I were able to sing and spend time together was Take Me to the King. And that's what he did. He took her to the King. Mommy, I could stand here for a year and I could never express who you were and what you meant to me. You were an amazing mother, an amazing friend. Never let me down. Always there for me. Always prayerful. Always helpful. Always kind. Always a good person. Rest in peace.
This concludes the wake portion of the service. We are about to begin the celebration of life as Mother Marie
Though he die, yet shall he live again. And whosoever believes in me shall never die. Man that is born of a woman has but a few days, full of trouble, they come forth like a fly, and is cut down, and it fleeth also as a shadow, it continues not. We want nothing into this world, and we is certain we can carry nothing out. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth,